Hello dear students, welcome to the another video tutorial of mammalian histology. In that we are engaged with the chapter 3rd histological study of various organs. Okay, so in today's session we are shifting towards the glands and other various accessories to the digestive system. Okay, so the alimentary canal is associated with the digestive glands which develop from the gut but remain outside of the gut. Okay, and the digestive glands are salivary glands, the liver, and the pancreas. Okay, the salivary glands are pour their secretions in the mouth cavity, while the liver and the pancreas pour their secretions to the small intestine. As we all know, uh, the pancreas and liver, they having the duct which open into the duodenum. Okay, and the salivary glands, which are mainly three salivary glands, which we have all know, and these salivary glands are secreting saliva inside the mouth cavity, while the liver and the pancreas going to secrete their secretions into the small intestine. Okay, so let's start with the glands associated with the digestive system. In this session we will complete until the three type of the salivary glands itself. Okay, so let get engaged. And the salivary glands includes the number of glandular structures which going to secrete a liquid secretion called saliva. Okay, the salivary glands are prepared to structures in the oral cavity. Okay, and they are secreting their secretions into oral cavity, and with the saliva they secreting n number of enzymes that going to mix with the masticated food to form the bolus. Okay, and that bolus, when it prepared, that bolus going to engulf from the buccal cavity, that going to pass through the esophagus to the stomach. All other histological study of the digestive system, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and the large intestine, we have studied in the few previous sessions. Okay, so there are three distinct pair of the salivary glands present. The first one, the largest salivary gland known as the parotid gland. Okay, then second one will be the submandibular gland, and third will be the sublingual gland. Okay, so the sublingual, parotid, and the submandibular, so their secretion contains uh, some enzymes which aid in the preparing the food and the digestive processes. Okay, whereas all the glands are compound tubuloacinous or the alveolar gland. Okay, they are compound, they are having tubules and acinous structures. Acinas means the alveolar structures. Okay, and that going to produce the mucigin or the mucuses. Okay, so alveolar type of the mode of the secretions. Okay, they are giving the mode of some mode of the secretions, and that will be the merocrine type of the secretions. Okay, and the salivary glands can be classified by the types of the cell going to present in them. Okay, such as mucous cells, serous cells, or the mixed glandular cells. Okay, so the organs of the accessory digestive system have the principal role of synthesizing the secreting digestive enzymes to further break down food into the nutrients. Okay, so the secretions which are secreted by these three glands are necessary for the further breakdown of food into nutrients when that complex chain is going to break into a amino acids. Okay, so these secretions from parotid, submandibular and the sublingual glands going to help with some enzymes to act on the food. Okay, so let's study one by one the specifications and the importance of these three glands. Okay, so let's start. As you can see in the picture, the largest near the ear situated is the parotid gland. Then below the mandibles, okay, it submandibular gland, and below the tongue, which is sublingual gland. Okay, so three distinct pair of these salivary glands is present. That means uh, each side of your face containing these three glands and other side of your face containing these three glands. Okay, same as this. That means two parotid glands, two submandibular glands and two sublingual glands are present in your buccal cavity. Okay, so let's start with the parotid gland. Okay, so parotid gland is the largest gland of the salivary glands. Okay, in man, dog, cat and rabbit is entirely serous. That means they are secreting the watery fluid. Okay, so each gland is surrounded by thick connective tissue capsules. Okay, and going to form which the septa, that septa going to enter in the gland to form the lobes or the lobules. Okay, or you can also say them the alveoli. Okay, for your simplification, that fine connective tissue fibers also involved to each alveolus. Okay, so each gland is located near the earlobe and secretion carried by main secretory duct called Stenson's duct. Okay, that secretions from the parotid gland which are carried out and released into the buccal cavity, that duct name is the Stenson's duct. Okay, and in the oral cavity that going to open. Okay, so the opposite the second upper molar tooth, opposite to the second upper molar tooth, this duct is present. Okay, so the duct is lined with the pseudostratified columnar epithelium. That means the inner lining, and that cavity of the duct is lined by the pseudostratified columnar epithelium cells. Okay, the main duct going to divides into interlobular ducts. Okay, which in turn going to divide to form interlobular ducts. Okay, and from the interlobular ducts, that branches are given off which going to penetrate the lobules. Okay, and that branches when that going to collect these watery fluid and contains going to secrete in the buccal cavity. Okay, going to that path is maintained by these ducts. Okay, so the most of the large intralobular ducts are striated varieties. Okay, where the striated varieties means the salivary or the secretory ducts. Okay, they are lined by the single layer of the columnar cells. In the nucleus is spheroidal and centrally located. Okay, so the cytoplasm is finely granular and acidophilic. Okay, the cytoplasm of these glands are finely granular and acidophilic. So in the basal portion of the cells, they going to present the characteristic striated appearance. Okay, that the striated appearance of this duct going to the interlocated ducts containing the salivary ducts. Okay, where and these terminal alveoli are small diameter in the line by the low low cuboidal epithelium. Okay, so these terminal alveoli linings are maintained, or the that cell type is the cuboidal epithelium cells. So the fat cells also present in these parotid glands. Okay, and these fat cells are present in the connective tissue of the parotid gland. Okay, and they tend to increase the number with the age. That fat glands or the fat tissues is increasing when your age is increasing. Okay, so the serous cells which going to form the alveoli, which are roughly pyramidal in the shape. Okay, and rest upon the basement membrane uh, surrounded at the narrow lumen. So the cell going to prepare their boundaries are not distinct, their boundaries are not marked. Okay, so the appearance of the or this cytoplasm is finally granular and the asophytic cytoplasm. During the active secretions, the droplets of these secretions known as the zymogen granules. Okay, and that zymogen granules with the watery fluid secretions which contains the salts, the enzyme like salivary amylase and the maltase. Okay, so these two type of the enzymes are secreted in these secretions. Okay, so the abundant basophilic and the achromatophilic material of the endoplasmic reticulum of these glands are the secreted at the basal part of the cell. Okay, their contractile action of these uh, cells, okay, that leads to discharge of the secretions going to which are produced into these excretory duct, and that duct is going to open into your buccal cavity. Okay, and these zymogenal granules which are the serous cells which going to show fine intracellular and the intracellular secretory canicules which are known as the maltases. Okay, and this is abundant basophilic and the chromophilic material of the endoplasmic reticulum at the basal part of the cells. Okay, these regions give stratified appearance due to parallel arrangement of the uh, cells which are rod shaped like mitochondria and going to configuration of the endoplasmic reticulum. So the basal or basket cells which are lies close contact with the serous cells, and their processes form a sort of the basket work. Okay, and they are similar to the myoepithelial cells of the sweat glands. Okay, the myoepithelial cells of the sweat glands where they are going to produce the secretions of the sweat. Okay, and that sweat is going to form their functioning to maintain the temperature of the body. Likewise, these um, mucous cells or the acinar cells going to secrete the secretions. Okay, so the discharge of this section going to product into the excretory duct. Okay, as you can see in the picture, this is the transverse section of the uh, parotid gland. Okay, that going to show these acinar cells. Okay, the ducts which are the main ducts for these mucous cells. Okay, and as you can see, the whitish one are the mucus cells. Okay, and these acinar cells are the mucus producing cells, and that are secreted by means of these ducts into the buccal cavity. Okay, so the distinguishing features of the parotid glands are the highlighted points which are important to rememberize. Okay, so these parotid glands are composed of the serous cells, hence they secrete the watery fluids. Okay, the second one will be the glands has connective tissue capsules and septa. Okay, the third one will be the intralobular ducts are striated type. Okay, and fourth one will be the fat cells are present in these type of the glands. Okay, as your age going to increase, these fat cells numbers is going to increase. The fifth one will be the basal or the basket cells are the present. Okay, so let's move towards the second gland, that will be the submandibular gland. Okay, the submandibular gland is also called as the submaxillary gland. Okay, which is situated near each posterior inner surface of the mandible. Okay, and in man, the most other like other mammal, this gland is mixed type of the gland. Okay, what is mean by the mixed type of the gland, we will see in the next slide. Okay, so the it going to contain the both serous and the mucous alveoli. Okay, the mixed type of the gland, that means it contains the both the serous, that means secreting cells also, and the mucous alveoli cells also. Okay, and their proportion is going to not same, but they are different in the different species. Okay, so these glands going to secrete a slimy mucus secretions, and it's going to main duct called as Warthorn ducts. Okay, and these ducts going to open into the beneath to the tongue. Okay, beneath means to at the basal surface of your tongue. Okay, the duct is lined by the stratified columnar epithelial and the longitudinal uh, smooth muscles. Okay, so these two type of the cells are line their duct. Okay, so a richly cellular stroma and the longitudinal cell muscles are present in these type of the glands. Okay, so the intralobular ducts are the same type of the parotid glands. Okay, but salivary ducts are longer and more numerous than these parotid. Okay, so the inter intercalated ducts that are short and narrow. Okay, so the intercalated ducts means from the submandibular gland to the buccal cavity. Okay, so these connecting way from the submandibular gland to the buccal cavity, that will be the intercalated duct. Okay, and that will be the short and narrow duct. Okay, so the base of these mucous alveoli passinulars, or these concentric group of the cells going to secrete granule cytoplasm, as well as these capped cells also known as the deminules. Okay, so these all secretions, these ducts going to open into the uh, these secretions secreted by these salivary or the serous vellus cells, which going to open into duct by a intracellular caniculi. That intracellular caniculi means from one cell to other cell, and that group of the cells to the duct. So that secretions by these cells going to carried out by means of this intercellular caniculi. Okay, So the some mucous alveoli have serous cells that going to line their terminal proportions. Okay, like mucous cells are also pyramidal in shape with distinct boundaries to them. Okay, and rest of the mucous cells lies in the basal lamina of these salivary glands. Okay, so the cytoplasm of these glands or the cells of these secreting cells of these salivary glands contains mitochondria, but relatively less endoplasmic reticulum is present. That is nothing but the chromophilic material. Okay, so the secretory droplets contains the mucigin, which is dissolved during the histological preparations that going to leave the cytoplasmic network. Okay, so the mucous cells are going to secrete a various fluid that contains the mucigin. Okay, and these intracellular caniculi are seen in the mucous alveoli. So as you can see in the picture, the submandibular gland location, mark that location below the mandibles. Okay, and two submandibular glands are present in the buccal cavity. Okay, so in the submandibular gland, the serous elements are more than the mucous elements. Okay, so the secretory viscous fluids that contains mucigin or the mucigin is the secretory product of this submandibular gland. Sorry. So these glands going to exhibit well-defined capsule and stroma, and the duct system of this gland is well defined. Okay, so the secretory droplets contains the mucigin which going to dissolve during the histological preparations. Okay, as you can see the in this TS. Okay, this is the TS of the submandibular gland. Okay, stained by the hematoxylin and eosin stain at the medium magnification. So as you can see in these TS, the salivary ducts, okay, and the arteries which are going to provide the blood supply for these salivary glands, as well as you can see the interlobular connective tissues which going to form the stability, going to provide stability and support for these lobules of these salivary glands which are interconnected in them. Okay, so these glands going to exhibit well defined capsule and the stroma, and the duct system is present in these salivary glands. Okay, so the distinguishing features of these type of the submandibular salivary glands, okay, so they having the well defined capsule, the serous alveoli are more than the mucous alveoli. Third will be the presence of the serous demyelinus. Okay. Fourth will be the mixed type of the glands. Okay. And then fifth distinguishing feature will be the salivary ducts are longer and more numerous. Okay. So we will shift towards the third type of the salivary gland, that will be the sublingual gland. Okay. So it is a mixed gland. Okay, it is mainly mucus and the smallest of the salivary glands, then small than these two type of the glands. One is the parotid and second one is the submandibular. So the sublingual gland will be the smallest gland among these two glands, these three glands. Okay, so the ducts are lined by simple columnar epithelium. Okay, it having the typical intralobular ducts. Okay, the typical salivary ducts are rare in this case. Okay, so the intercalated ducts are lacking here. Okay, so the terminal alveoli are mucous type. Very few serous type of the alveoli are seen in this type of the sublingual gland. Okay, so the gland is covered by connective tissue capsules. Okay, then the gland going to secrete the mixed type of the secretions. Okay, that will be the some granules plus mucuses. Okay, and the watery type of the saliva. Okay, so the sublingual gland is the mixed type of the gland in the man. Okay, so it is the smallest one. The serous ducts are called as the ducts of Rivenus. Okay, the ducts are lined by the simple columnar epithelium, as I said. Okay, so these are relatively few intralobular ducts going to provide the salivary ducts. Okay, so these terminal alveoli are mostly mucus type. Okay, so the terminal alveoli cells are the most of time these are the mucus type of the cells. Okay, so the very few purely serous alveoli are present over here. Okay, as you can see the uh, the location of the sublingual gland below the tongue. Okay, okay, so these why this is so called as the sublingual gland. Okay, so as you can see the TS, the gland is covered by the connective tissue capsule, which is not distinct but septa are prominent over here, and that septa going to divide the gland into mucus and the serous lobes. Okay, and these two type of the lobes are alveolus, may contain both kind of the cell, but serous cells going to occupy this blind end of the alveolus and mucous cells. Okay, so the gland going to secrete the mixed type of the secretions. Okay, so the salivary glands have rarely or the relatively rich blood supply, and few lymph vessels and the nerve supplies are so present over there. As you can see the TS. Okay, so you can see the intralobular ducts present over here to provide the uh, in between two lobes, that interlobes are present, that interlobular ducts that provides the serous septas, that mucin secreting and all the mucus secreting cells are mixed type of the secretions are provided in the buccal cavity by means of these intralobular ducts. Okay, so as you can see the serous alveoli cells providing the watery fluid like substance, that is nothing but the saliva. Okay, so as you can see the distinguishing features of the salivary glands, that will be the third type of the salivary gland, is nothing but the sublingual gland. Okay, so the distinguishing features of the sublingual gland, they having, first one will be the connective tissue capsule is not distinct over here. Okay, so it having the well developed septas. Okay, then third will be the ducts are lined with the columnar epithelium cells. Okay, and the fourth one will be the serous demyelins are numerous and the large with the mucous alveoli. Okay, so these salivary glands are going to secrete the enzymes and some other contents. Okay, so the enzymes like the salivary amylase, okay, which going to mix with your food bolus. Okay, and the starch material, whatever the starch you are eating, that saliva should be mixed with that starch, then and then this starch will be break down in your stomach. So if you directly pass this starchy food in the stomach, that starch is not going to digest by your stomach, because in the stomach the salivary amylase will be carried out by means of saliva only. If your body is not secreting saliva, if not producing saliva, then you will not able to produce or not able to digest the starchy food material. That may be your jowar, bajra, wheat and rice. All the starch, whatever starch you are eating, that is digested or the simplified by means of these salivary secretions or the enzymes and the salts present in the saliva. So the saliva is very important for to maintain the our environment in the buccal cavity, as well as they are going to uh, wet our all the elementary canal. Okay, so this is very important. Glands, salivary glands. Okay, so the key facts about the salivary glands are, let's summarize all these things into a one chart for a quick revision. Okay, the function of the salivary glands is nothing but to secrete saliva for initial phase of digestion. Okay, and for protection and the lubrication of the oral cavity. This will be the function as well as the peculiar characteristic of the salivary gland. Then the types of the gland, there are three types of the gland. Where first will be the serous, mucus and a mixed type. Okay, so the serous gland is the parotid gland. The mucus secretions are secreted by the sublingual gland and minor salivary gland. Okay, and the mixed type of the gland will be the submandibular gland. Whatever the specifications of the parotid glands are, the location of the parotid gland is between the ramus of the mandible and sterniliculomastoid muscles. Okay, so this is the one special type of the muscle of the your face. Okay, and excretory ducts are present in the parotid gland, are nothing but the Stenson's duct. Okay, that ducts going to open on the buccal wall at the level of the maxillary second molar. Okay, then the submandibular gland, the location of the submandibular gland beneath the tongue. Okay, or the beneath the mandible. Okay, so the excretory duct for these glands is known by the name is the Wharton's duct, which going to open at the sublingual papillae under the tongue. Okay, then the sublingual gland, location beneath the sublingual fold. That means below the tongue, there will be the sublingual fold below the tongue, and there below the sublingual fold, there is the location of this sublingual gland. The excretory ducts for these glands are the multiple ducts that going to open along with the sublingual folds in the below the tongue. Okay, so the cylindrical relations, that the having some clinical relations, that having the some clinical exceptions like, or the diseases like crits or the inflammation or the tumors formation in these salivary glands. Okay, so these are the three type of the glands, salivary glands. We have seen the parotid gland, the largest gland among the salivary gland. Okay, then the submandibular gland, and then the sublingual gland. Okay, so we are going to stop here, and we will meet in the next session for the uh, other two glands of the which having the association with the digestive system, that will be the liver, and second will be the pancreas. Okay, thank you.